Hello everybody, my name is Travis Scheibmeyer. This is my first year in ISM, and this year I'm doing sports marketing as it pertains to corporate partnership. A little bit behind why I got into this. I got into this mostly because of my mom. My mom did a little bit of marketing. She was telling me about her marketing experiences when she invented stuffed crust pizza. I always have to throw that out. But she was talking to me about the entire experience and all the people she met and how much fun she had with it. And I was like, wow, that sounds like something I'd really want to do. So that's why I'm here. I want to see if that's actually stuff I really want to do. And combined with my passion for sports, I've played sports ever since I was 3 years old. I've been playing sports, and a combination of both of those I feel would be the ultimate job for me. So a little bit about me. At school, I'm in DECA and BPA. They're both business competitions. Basically, I get a little look into the future of what some possible problems might be that I have to solve and stuff like that. I'm also in basketball at school. I've played all 4 years and love every second of it. Outside of school, I'm in Young Men's Service League. And what that is basically you go around the community with your mom and you volunteer wherever. People like Jacob Hicks are also in it and some other strapping young lads from Frisco. I've worked at Cinemark for almost 2 years now, tearing tickets and cleaning theaters. I'm the president of my youth group. That's been a great experience, very rewarding. And I'm also, my future plans include, hopefully, going to UT and going to the School of Business at UT. In the picture on the top, that's my family, me, my dad, mom, and then my brother who's at UT majoring in neuroscience. That was our trip to Europe a few summers back. And then below that, it's on a mission trip to Crossville, Tennessee. What we did is we ran a kids camp, and that was my favorite little kid. His name was Bo. And then, of course, me playing basketball. So a little bit about why I took ISM. I took ISM to kind of further develop my knowledge in the fields of marketing and sales. I also want to get a more open mind for what it actually is that these people do, and if that's something I really want to do for the rest of my life. I hope to gain professional experience through observation and also just hands-on from my mentor as well. And I also want to gain connection for years to come. So a little about the interviews in ISM. You have to call someone up, email them, connect with them through LinkedIn to set up an interview. And through this interview, you ask them, hey, what they do for daily, some of the challenges they face in the job. And so it's definitely a rewarding experience having to contact the interview, set it up. And so my first interview was with Joe Simler. He does corporate partnership for the Dallas Cowboys. And he told me two things. The first was to be able to face rejection, and the second was to think outside the box. Being able to face rejection is something he has to do every day in his job. He can work 3 or 4 months for a proposal to a company and they say no, but he can't be rattled. I don't know. He can't be rattled. He has to get back up, continue, and then he also be able to think outside the box. Since the Cowboys have been around for so long, it's hard to come up with new sponsors and new ways for something for them to sponsor. So he has to constantly be creative and come out and find ways to help the company that he wants and help Cowboys as well. And then my second interview was with Jacob's dad, Eddie Hicks. He's the VP of Sales for Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. The main thing he stressed in his interview was starting from the bottom and working your way up. In college, he was a route truck driver for Dr. Pepper, and then after college, they offered him a job. And he said the CEO did the same thing, and they're both really high up in that company right now. Then the other one was the importance of client relationships. I did a research assessment on this, and it's basically 8 times easier and more profitable to maintain a client than to go out and find a new one, put the man hours in, and do all the paperwork. Then my third interview was with Scott Gaines. He's the head of marketing and sales for Microsoft. The first thing I asked when I went on an interview with him was, kind of tell me a little bit about what you do. And since he's so high up, he is the worldwide head of marketing and sales. His first thing he said was, well, basically I manage 30,000 people. And jaw kind of dropped. And I was like, wait, how many? Like, did I hear that right? But he said, since he's a boss, he has to practice he chooses to practice the idea of conscious capitalism, which is a unique idea of basically letting the ideas flow. Basically, you pretend like you're not the boss. That way, ideas can flow and it's a more productive work environment, unlike, I guess, a dictatorship where he's just ruling down and making his employees do this and meet strict deadlines or whatever and yelling at them. And then he says he also has to be able to move on and learn from his mistakes. So many times in Microsoft, he said he's seen people make mistakes, not be able to recover, and then eventually lose their job. He said, I mean, he's not perfect, but he's definitely been able to learn from his mistakes, keep moving on, and then got to where he was right now. My fourth interview was with Charles Johnson. He does corporate partnership as well. He works with the Dallas Cowboys. The first thing I did, handed him my resume so he could go over, and he said, it's a nice resume, great stuff. Here's a few things to work on it. He really stressed the power of a resume because this is something that gets you on the front door and gets you in that job interview. He says it has to be loaded with good information. You actually have to make yourself, the resume sells you to get you in the door, and then you have to sell yourself once you get in there. And then he says he always has to be prepared. He says when he goes on trips to propose something, he will do research on, let's say, an insurance company's lingo. That way he can go in, present on the lingo, and that way they feel more comfortable with him, talking with him in normal terms, and that way it's just an overall better business experience. It always helps when people ask you questions and you know the answers to it. That way you don't look stupid. And then my fifth interview was Taylor's dad, David Newman. He's a chief insights officer for Crossmark. The interesting thing about him, since he doesn't really do what the rest of the people I interviewed did, what he does is pretty much he analyzes data and then suggests a solution to make a company's profits grow higher. So, for example, he will, let's say you go to the grocery store and you buy chips, but you also want to buy salsa, but that's a few aisles away. And so what he does is he will look at the frequency of how often chips and salsa are bought together, and then if moving that would increase profits for both the companies that put their products on the shelf as well as for the grocery store. And then, like he said, embrace competition. Competition, he said, will drive everything in your life. Competing with your coworkers, competing with other businesses. He says, I've loved competing with everyone, and that's where I am today, because he's been able to not out hustle, that sounds like he's doing something bad, but outwork everyone he's in the field with. And then he also said presenting something unique. Now, not necessarily about job stuff, but coming out of college, how to make yourself unique so you can get that foot in the door and keep working and make sure you stand out from the rest of the 100,000 college graduates that come out that year. And after all these interviews, I chose two mentors. They both work for the Dallas Cowboys. They did corporate partnership. And so far it's been a great experience, and I've loved every second of it. A little bit about the research I've conducted. Some of the assessments I've done was how to get into sports marketing, some of the best selling techniques you can provide, conscious capitalism, the benefits of corporate sponsorship, how to keep a client happy, how to be unique coming out of college, and then of course giving a strong presentation. I'm going to break down two of these. One that relates to my field of choice of study, and then one that can relate to all of you. So the first one for me was benefits of being a sponsor, and exactly why would someone want to be a partner with the Dallas Cowboys. And some reasons why include access. Through this, a company will be able to reach new markets, new fan bases, and they're basically able to come connect with a group that they may not have been able to connect with in the first place. Research. Companies love their research. They love to build a profile on their ideal customer and see what ways they can target this customer, and if they want to branch out and find a new customer, how exactly they're just going to advertise to the customers they have. And then exclusivity. It kind of can allow, if you sponsor so much that you're an exclusive partner, it can kind of allow you to keep competition out of the room, only allow you access to that certain market and whatnot. And then, of course, return on investment, or getting your money that they put in. Basically, through all that, a company is more than likely not going to invest with someone they don't think they're going to get their monies back. So a return on investment is definitely a reason why a company would want to be sponsors with Dallas Cowboys. And then, of course, one that applies to all of us is how to be unique coming out of college. So a few main things I researched was never waste a summer. Always get an internship or get a part-time job in that field of interest. This way it kind of shows you that, hey, I may not have as much fun, but to your employer it's like he's willing to put in the work, maybe put us in those extra hours to get this job and be worth the risk of hiring. Networking. Networking is the most important part, I believe. It can get you references, it can give you clients, it can give you friends. Networking, whether you're going to a convention, just meeting people, or talking or maintaining a client relationship or a manager relationship, that way they can be references later on. And then, of course, you have to be open. Since many college students don't often have multiple job offers coming out of college, you may have to take a job necessarily that you don't want, but after you work hard enough and show that you're good at it, you can apply for a job that's more suited to you, and since you have that business experience, you're more than likely going to get hired. And then also you have to be more than just a resume. So when an employer Googles you, what do they see? Now this isn't basically what they see on Facebook and Twitter. While that is important and that could cost you your job, it's more like, do they have any interest? Do they add any curb appeal to our company? Do they have a blog, or do they run marathons, or what do they do? And adds like a marketing kind of curb appeal to yourself and adds that to the business. So a little bit about my original work. So for my original work, what I did was I wanted to find a company that was moving to the North DFW area and partner with the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are moving their practice facility to Frisco. I feel it would be awesome to welcome a company to be, hey, you're moving to this area, so are the Cowboys. What a great way to meet and be a partner. So I wrote a research paper analyzing a company and why they'd be a great fit. So when picking a company, there's a few things to consider. The first is, what is that company doing? Who have the Cowboys already partnered with, and would partnering with that certain company violate maybe exclusivity or another partnership they have? And then what exactly are the Cowboys doing? Because you want to be able to match what that company is doing with what the Cowboys are doing. Some possible partners included Toyota, FedEx, 7-Eleven, Liberty Mutual, and State Farm. They're all moving either like a headquarters or like a little part of their headquarters down to this area. However, Toyota would not be a good one I'd want to pursue because of their Dallas's deal with Ford. The Ford Star is actually what the new practice facility was called. And then same goes for FedEx. FedEx, while it would be a great opportunity, Dallas Cowboys are already partners with UPS. And then 7-Eleven, they actually do business with them already, so I'm not going to do that. And then it comes down to Liberty Mutual and State Farm. And then for that, I chose Liberty Mutual, and for a few reasons that I'm getting to a little bit later. So first, when you have to what is Liberty Mutual doing kind of from the outside? And Liberty Mutual is building a new kind of second headquarters in Plano, Texas. Their main headquarters is up in Boston. along with FedEx and I think Toyota, when their buildings are combined, they're going to be about 12,000 jobs coming. Liberty themselves is creating 4,000 of those jobs. And then the CEO said this: after an extensive and rigorous review, we came to the indisputable conclusion that Plano is the place for Liberty to grow. It is a welcoming business environment, beautiful neighborhoods, top-rated schools, and talented people made an obvious choice for us. The impressive quality and depth of talent in Texas gives us access to a strong candidate pool from which we can add thousands of jobs to our local operations and can continue to grow our business throughout the state. Basically what he's saying is, for Texas, we're going to be able to come in, impact the community, and hopefully tap into some of the money that's flowing around here. And then when you look more in depth about why Liberty Mutual is actually moving here, as a state, Texas paid $15 billion on auto insurance, $7 billion on home insurance, and $10.5 billion on life insurance. Now, State Farm, a heavyweight insurance company in Texas, has 19.2% of the auto insurance market and 26.8% of the homeowners market. I think when I did the math, it was roughly $6 billion that they're making from just Texas on those two markets. And then compared to Liberty Mutual, who has 3% of the auto market and 8% of the housing market. So from this, Liberty Mutual is going to be able to compete more with State Farm, hopefully take some of the clients, and just increase the revenue. Like you saw in the previous thing, there's 12,000 jobs coming. More companies are coming, more people are moving to this area. And so with that, there's going to be more money flowing around, and they're going to hopefully be able to tap into that. And then we have to look at what the Cowboys are doing. The Cowboys are building a brand new practice facility called the Ford Star, or the Star. And it'll be used by Frisco ISD about 80% of the time. It'll host football games, soccer games, and other community events. And it'll be surrounded by stores and restaurants and an outlet mall kind of feeling. So if you look right here, they have 2 practice fields, some offices, the actual indoor facility, and then the shopping centers all the way around. This is just a better look of it right here, kind of the overall shopping centers, and then the practice facility. And then right here is the offices that the Cowboys, new offices that they have. And then, well, what can Liberty Mutual do from benefiting from this? There'll be around 25 to 35 games played in the Star. So the Cowboys expect roughly 100,000 to 150,000 people to attend these games, not including people visiting the shopping centers. So if they were to partner with the Cowboys, some perks would include you get visibility every day. And by this, it means advertising, people, brand recognition, seeing your logo everywhere. When I was walking through with my mentor with this, he showed me the slides of all the possible ways a company could be seen or being advertised throughout the Star. Basically, the entire facility is a marketing heaven. They have projectors everywhere. They have banners hanging over the highway. In the restaurants, on the bottom of like the TV, you can put a logo there. Whatever you want to do, you can basically do. They have active displays areas where you can just have your run commercials all day long. And then, of course, they gain access to the new market. By this, of course, Dallas Cowboys have the largest fan base in the world. Their website is the most viewed NFL website in the world, most page views, most clicks. And through this, they can tap into that kind of brand new, like I talked about earlier, the new markets, how if they sponsor enough, they can be exclusive and just be the only people tapping into that. And then the cool thing I thought was geo-targeting. This is basically where if you want an ad in a certain place and not necessarily everywhere, you can locate it in a certain region. So the Cowboys send out thousands and millions of magazines everywhere because their fan base is so big. And so you can place a certain ad in a magazine going to South Texas and then a different ad in a place going to California. Basically, it allows you to customize the kind of people you want as a customer. And of course, you have exclusive Cowboy benefits. By these, executives and stuff can join the Cowboys Club, which is basically you can sit there, have a steak, have some wine while you're watching the Cowboys practice. You get private tours of the facility. You can be in the Cowboys gym, which is basically their private gym. You can access to their trainers and stuff like that. So being able to sponsor the Cowboys, you would come with some perks as well. And then my final product. For my final product, I hope to wrap this all up and then kind of make it all come together into a proposal. And the proposal will basically be me simulating that I'd be talking to Liberty Mutual as if this was a business proposal, and if they'd want to be partners with the Dallas Cowboys. And then I want to leave on a quote, and it says, "Believe in yourself, and there will come a day when others have no choice but to believe in you." And I feel it's really powerful. Others may hate on you and tell you, oh, you can't do this, and oh, you're not good enough. But as long as you believe in yourself and you keep pushing, you can silence the haters, and eventually they'll have to believe in you. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.